Welcome to Trent's DIY Adventures. In today's video, I walk you through how I'm building this fence to match our existing fence that we have around the property that I built about 5 years ago. So I'll walk you through what we're going to do here. And the reason for this, and you can see that I'm building over my neighbor's fence, is that we like a 6-foot privacy fence. This one is a little shorter. I didn't do this wall because this was in decent shape and it served its purpose, and we thought we might get the neighbors to chip in when they were ready to replace this portion of the fence. But they really have not been responsive. They've got 3 big German shepherds that have actually knocked down a couple fence post sections in the back alley here, but they still think this fence is okay. We've got 2 little miniature schnauzers and a 2-year-old in the backyard, and we just don't want those 3 German shepherds coming into our backyard, breaking down a post and ending up in our backyard and doing some harm to the family. So we are building over the top of it. I am using 7.5 foot Postmaster posts from Home Depot. All my posts except for my gate openings are built this way. I don't want to worry about rotted out 4x4 posts in the future. And then I just have set them, figured out I got 5-foot posts since I'm doing a 6-foot. I marked off where my 5-foot is, so I'm about 2.5 foot down, you know, with the slope and everything else in here. Everything goes down, we're a couple feet down. I use a 2x2 insert in the middle just to try and keep some of the pests and stuff from building nest up inside the post. Plus, if I got a plank that comes over, it'll give me something to screw onto. And then I run my 2x4x10s, pressure treated red tone wood from Home Depot, and I'm using 1.5 inch. These are actually, they're kind of zinc coated, I think. Cabinet type of screws, leg type of screws, work great with a washer head. Torx washer head, go in there, hold these nice and tight. You can see my 6 sections. To do these posts, I'm in kind of a clay soil, so I just drove them down, got my sledgehammer out and drove them down in. I did not dig the holes and do concrete on these. If you're in a high wind area, tornado alley, sandy soil, you want to dig and cement these down in so they don't go anywhere. And I do want to show this on a corner post. So I've cut down a plank, just kind of cut off the top to height here at 5 foot, and then I've notched it out for the 2x4s to cover my post. And you can kind of see on this post over here, you see the metal post, and then I just do a decorative board over the top to kind of hide it, make it look like an actual wood post. So my next step, bring in the planks and start just screwing the planks on the fence. Okay, I want to give you a pro tip when cutting your 2x4 runners, whether you're using 8 foot, 10 foot, or you're somewhere in between. You do want to, obviously with fence posts, try and get those as square as you can, level as you can, vertically, left, right, in, out. But it's not always the most possible when you, especially when you're driving them in. So you might have some vary lengths from the bottom rung all the way up to the top rung. So it is my tip that you measure each rung before you measure it, or you're going to end up having a lot of wasted 2x4s. I had a nice magnetic end tape measure where these are metal posts, I can get the tape in on one side, stretch the tape out to the other side, and get some pretty good measurements. I have nice tight snug fits. If I was short on one side, I'd make the other one a little bit longer to kind of push them together on the rungs. The other reason I'm down here at this end, you can see we have a transition where my planks are going to be on the outside, because obviously I can't screw them in on the neighbor side to match the existing fence. Their fence ends right here at this post. So for my aesthetics, and I also didn't want to create a ladder for potential thieves trying to climb over the fence. So on this section out here, my planks are on the outside. So I'm going to start at the other end of the fence in the corner, so I can just run off. If I need to, I can run off and cover up over into this other section of fence if I need to, if my planks don't measure out right. Versus if I started here trying to get to the other end, I might run into an issue where my spacing won't work. I won't be able to get a plank in that last slot. I have gone down through, see, and there's one of the miniature schnauzers, that's Stella. I have gone down through with the shovel, raked away our garden bed away from here, so I can adjust my height on my boards accordingly. Give me a little bit more working room. I can go up, down, or I might still have to dig a little deeper down. This lattice for our vining plants, it's gonna be a nice tight squeeze fit, but I do have enough room to walk down in between there. And that also keeps the vines away from the fence. So kind of some setup here. Again, I'm on a 10-foot plank. These are 5.5 inch, so I'm going to use roughly about 20 planks per section. So I kind of have those lined up spaced. That way I'm not walking back and forth, getting planks, wasting some time. So just kind of some setup here. Again, I've notched out or dug out my trench down below for my planks to sit down into. My next step is I'm going to hang one board up close to this second section end post, get my height set here, and then I'm going to put a screw in the top of the plank in the corner, screw on top of that one, and I am going to run a string line so that way I can kind of keep the tops of my planks relatively even. Okay, I have set my screw. I've got one screw up top over here, and I've run my string line across, have a level string line, and screwed that, wrapped it around this screw, me line here. So that'll be what I want the top edge of the planks to meet up against. And the tools we'll be using, I will have my Ryobi brushless impact driver. I'm going to have a level, check my planks for level. I'm using Deckmate 1.5 inch screws. And this is Thomas, my 2-year-old. He's going to help me with his hammer. And with the screws, I'm using a carpenter tool bag where I can fill a pocket full of screws. Just quick grab and go. And since these are pressure treated red toned wood, they kind of have a red stain in them, and they are still wet. They always come wet from Home Depot. One of my complaints. So when they dry out, they warp. Some of the boards warp pretty bad. So I still wear gloves, one to protect with using the impact and screws so I don't pinch a finger, and also to keep the red tone off of there. So I'll set the camera up and have you watch this first section, and we'll just kind of time lapse through that. First plank, you definitely want to make sure you get the first plank level, raising it up to the top to catch the top of my string. Trying to use the toe of my foot to kind of hold it in place. And then I want to check to get the level out. Make sure that I am starting off level with my boards. My post on the outside here is not very level, so I might have to make up the level here the next couple. But just get my screw using the little slider drill bits, kind of helps hold the screw. See if I start it, and then we just go down the board, put a couple screws in each rung. Kind of want to show you, so this post was not square up and down from the previous install, so I have a little bit of a gap here, and then to catch level down at the bottom I'm tight, but up here I'm going to have a little bit of a gap. And then my next one is butted up right against it, And I'm doing this with these wet planks because as they dry out, as you can see, they will develop their own spacing. Some get to be quite a bit wider than others. Some of them tend to be tight, and still provides you your privacy. And if you do get into winds, it still allows an airflow to go through. Where being tight like this, normally you wouldn't have it, but because these are so wet, they're going to shrink and develop my spacing. If you have dry boards, already have dry boards, you might want to put one screw in here and create a one screw length spacing in between your boards to give you a little bit of a space like that if you're dealing with dry boards. I'm dealing with wet, so tight spacing, they'll shrink up, give me more space. That is our first section done, and as you saw, I had to level out every couple. You'll run into some where you're using this pine pressure treated planks or any other planks. I don't know how square they get. I'm sure you're gonna have some warps where the top is gonna be tight, bottom, then you're gonna have your middle, or like this board, a middle warp here, leaving a gap down at the bottom. So you're gonna have to balance out and figure out your spacing. And that's why as we look at this other existing fence, the spacing is not 100% consistent. The boards shrink down differently, you had different spacing throughout here, but again, I'm tight up against each other plank the best I can be, just because they do shrink down so much in here. And my last plank, we ended up on the post. Obviously I'm more coverage down at the bottom than I'm at top, which tells me that my post is not very level. But that's also why I put this middle wood piece in here, is so that I can get a screw in there, get that tightened down, and that's not going anywhere. The top screw and the top plank as we go. Normally when you run a long row of posts, you'll have another string line to make sure you're kind of lined up straight and even. Whereas up against the neighbor's fence, using pre-existing line, it's got a little bit of a wave front to back or inside outside. So my string line, so that plank is probably further in than what this one is, or this post comes out a little bit further. So I just put a little screw up here and kind of get my string line a little bit closer. Looking down the line, I got a few that are off, but I'm not too far off. So now the fun is going down and doing the rest of the run, and I will show you the finished product when I am done. Okay, here we are, finished product. Turned out pretty nice. I got lucky, the spacing, timing, my last board plank ended up covering the post over here just perfect. You learn things as you go. I ended up stretching the string line almost the full length of the fence, just to make sure I was pretty close. I didn't have any peaks and valleys. And you know, about every post 10 feet or so, I stuck a screw in top, you know, kind of fasten it down, stretch the tension along the way, kind of set the level. But from a distance, you'll still have a few boards up and down here, but you get pretty close. Overall, I think that looks pretty good. Project completed. Took me about 4 hours of actual labor time. If you had some helpers bringing boards in, handing you screws, that kind of stuff, probably might go a little bit quicker, but overall, not too bad. I went through about 6 pounds of screws for the 6 sections, so you're about 1 pound of screws per section. The post and the runners, though, that was a weekend, also about 6 hours. So this, doing 60 feet of wood fencing, took a whole weekend or 2 Saturdays. So don't expect to be done in a quick project. But it's not too hard. Any do-it-yourselfer can do it. Just take your time and you'll have a nice looking fence like this. I'll leave all the product links in the description below. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you.